Welcome to Drizzle Land, everybody. So, what we're going to do is we're going to list off movies that I really think everybody should watch at least once. Um, we're going to start it off with the first Alien movie with Sigourney Weaver. That, even if you're not into horror movies, I still think that movie's an iconic movie and everybody should watch it at least once. The next movie that we're going to talk about is Scream because it has Courtney Cox in it, David Arquette, Drew Barrymore. The cast is just amazing. Um, and I don't know. I mean, it's just one of those movies that I feel like, everybody should watch at least once. Um, we're going to follow that up with a movie that's kind of known, but it's not necessarily something that everybody, may or may not have seen, but I think it should be on this list. Um, and I feel like, you know, Adam Sandler has always done a great job in every one of his movies, and that's why I think Little Nicky should be on here. Um, it's definitely it's a comedy movie, but at the same time, there's some scary stuff in it too. Um, the next movie that we're going to be talking about real fast is a Jim Carrey movie, and that's The Mask. I think The Mask is another movie that definitely should be recognized. It is a movie that it's might be scary for like kids, but I every time I watch it, I find something new with it. I mean, Cameron Diaz is in it too. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that people need to have more of an open mind, I guess, and realize that movies are for everybody. Um, and then let's talk about Fear with Mark Wahlberg and Reese Witherspoon. I think that that's another movie that should be on here too. The next one is Wild Things. I think that that's another movie that is very underrated, but I think that it's pretty decent. Um, I mean, the cast is great in it. Bill Murray's in the movie. I think that you should give it an opportunity. It's definitely worth your time. Um, After that, we're going to talk about Bedazzled with Brendan Fraser and Elizabeth Hurley. I feel like, those both of those actors are, I'm sorry, actor and actress. I think that the movie, the plot is very interesting. The fact that he gets, the wishes and that things keep going wrong and there's some funny things in it. Um, Speaking of Brendan Fraser, the next one is Blast from the Past with him and, um, you know, Alicia Silverstone, and she was in lots of movies. Excess Baggage, which was another one um, that is amazing. It's really entertaining, very funny. Um, I think that people need to um, think long about what they really want to watch in a movie, and I feel like Blast from the Past kind of gives everybody a happy feeling about um, just the characters and the development of the plots and things like that. Um, so I think that those are some good choices. Um, and the next movie I want to talk about is Spies Like Us. Um, that movie in as far as an 80s movie, I feel like it really was amazing. The comedy was by far very very cool. And the next one we're going to talk about is the original Neighbors movie. Um, you know, I feel like that movie is crazy and it's funny and it's entertaining. And then we're from that we're going to go to Funny Farm. That's another movie that was kind of underrated and off the radar that people might not know about. That's pretty entertaining. Um, and I cannot say this enough, but Spaceballs. Spaceballs is another movie that was iconic and that people should at least watch once and enjoy it. Um, the both of the Addams Family movies, I was going to talk about those right now too. Those are solid pictures too, great entertainment. Um, you know, I don't know, the cast is just great. Um, Third movie, not so much though. Third movie is like blah, it's okay, but it's not anything to brag about. Um, let's talk about Poltergeist from the 80s. I feel like that's another movie that is is great. Um, the cast is great. The humor in it is interesting. The plot is wonderful. Um, yeah, I don't know. You know, and I'm gonna get a lot of heat for this, but Attack of the Killer Tomatoes, I feel like that movie wasn't really that bad. I don't know why people didn't like it. And The Blob also. I think that was another movie that was very underrated and that people didn't really like. Even The Thing, I think that The Thing is another movie that's pretty decent for, the amount of people that were involved in the picture. Um, and let's talk about, the original It movie. I don't think that that's even that scary compared to some of the stuff that's out right now. Yes, there's some weird things in it, but I don't think it's like that great at all. I think Tim Curry did a wonderful job in it. Um, and let me think here. Christine was the other movie I was going to talk about too. It's a Stephen King movie. I think that it's definitely worth checking out. Um, and I Know What You Did Last Summer 1 and 2, I think are pretty good too. For thriller movies and scary movies, I think that for 90s movies, those are pretty good. Um, yeah, I think it just depends on the audience and what you really want to watch. Um, but I think the best movie that I've honestly, been pretty impressed with, that I continuously watch all the time, is movies like E.T. and Back to the Future and Beetlejuice and um, Batman Returns and Batman and Superman and movies like that. Those are the movies that I really enjoy, that I watch all the time. Um, and let's talk about Star Wars. Like I really have to be generally honest. I'm a Star Wars fan. I enjoy most of the movies. Um, I think that the earlier movies have their own nostalgia to them for the series. Um, in Star Trek, um, I'll say like a few of the movies I think are good, but some of the other ones I think they could have done a much better job on. Um, but yeah, I think it just depends on what type of movies that you guys want to check out. There's other movies like Gangs of New York, which is another movie that people apparently liked, but at the same time it wasn't very noticeable. Um, yeah, I don't know. I think it just depends on what type of movie that people are into, but um, I try to give movies at least an opportunity by watching them at least once or twice to kind of to get into it. Um, and I think that there are some iconic actors and actresses, that should um, be respected over others. uh, because of their work, because of their history with the film industry. Um, I mean, let's start with some of the women. Like I think Cameron Diaz, Drew Barrymore, um, Angelina Jolie, definitely, Natalie Portman, um, Reese Witherspoon. Um, I feel like those Courtney Cox, for example. I mean, I know that I'm missing a lot of other female actresses, but I think that those are just some people that I think have earned their respect in the film industry. Um, and on the men's side, let's go with like Tom Hanks, Adam Sandler, Jim Carrey, you know, I'm trying to think here, like Nicolas Cage, um, Michael J. Fox, um, boy, John Travolta, Tom Cruise. Um, yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think that there's so many great actors and actresses out there that have done their work and been respected. Um, and I think that some of the newer actresses and actors are don't really compare to some of these people because they weren't really in iconic movies such as like Natalie Portman was obviously in Star Wars, for example. Reese Witherspoon was in so many great movies we can't even talk about all of them. Tom Cruise, the same thing. He was in lots of great 80s movies in his career. Michael J. Fox, the same thing. The guy should be respected for everything he's done in his career. Um, so yeah, I think that well, let's talk about Bill Murray, for example. Rick Moranis. Those are two other people who have had lots of success in their career. Um, and Drew Barrymore, obviously, with everything she's done. Cameron Diaz, the same thing. She was phenomenally well known for the Charlie's Angels movies, for example, The Mask, um, the Shrek movies. That's the other thing I was gonna mention too. Like Mike Myers, he was also involved in like Wayne's World, and you know, I don't know. I mean, he was another actor that was just great with just about every movie I've ever seen him in. Jim Carrey, the same thing. I mean, the guy's done so much work in his career. So yeah, I think it just depends on what type of movies you guys are into and what do you really want to watch. But those are just some actors and actresses I personally think who'd have deserved their credibility in Hollywood. Um, I mean, you could even go as far as Leonardo DiCaprio as well because of his work. I know some people don't necessarily like him, but I think that he's earned his credibility as far as his acting career. He's done a lot and with charity as well. So I mean, and the last woman that I want to talk about is Rose McGowan. Rose McGowan has also done a lot of interesting things in her career as well. Obviously Charmed, for example, she was in almost all the seasons of that. And later on, she did independent movies, and I think she was in a movie called Planeter, something like that. It was a Robert Rodriguez movie. Um, and some people think George Clooney should be in this discussion too because of obviously ER and some of his work as well. Um, the only thing that George Clooney did that I didn't care about was when he played Batman. That was a really bad decision. I think that really hurt his career because that was not a right role for him. Now, I do like From Dusk Till Dawn. That was a really good movie. I think that, that kind of helped him, out in his earlier work. Um, but yeah, I just think that, we should be thankful in this generation that we have had a lot of great actors and actresses who have made wonderful movies for all of us. And that's just what I wanted to say. So